We've been talking about all these superstars and pretending superstars. Trash. This conversation has been a sparkling one. I don't even know if that's the word I wanted to use. A hot topic for the last 3 years of how many true superstars are there in the NBA. Please give me your list of superstars.
Okay, well, first, it's only a hot button topic because you love this discussion.
I do because you guys are so wrong. You
And
guys are so
second,
wrong.
second, I know that I have more, so I want to hear yours first, and I'll tell you other guys that I have.
Okay. This is how I broke it down. And I didn't just create a list. Broke it down in segments. I broke it down in a pyramid. I have an NBA superstar pyramid.
I need a graphic for this.
I need to put it up like first things first. We're
Yeah.
starting with the top. We have the faces of the league,
Okay.
right? We got Steph and LeBron. There's no argument.
Okay.
They're the faces of the NBA. Next category, we got mega stars. Okay. That's a company, Steph, LeBron, and Kevin Durant. Those levels, those layers are there's another layer down that these other guys they're not on that level yet. Superstars. Next level
Those are the only three on those top two levels?
megastars. Those are the only three of megastar.
Really?
Argue with your mama. Don't argue with me.
I
Mega,
would have thought you would have had a Jokic on that level as well.
not yet.
Okay.
Jokic is not a megastar. Superstars. I got Luca, Joker, Giannis, Kawhi, Embiid, and AD.
Okay.
There is another drop off. There's a drop off there. Next are borderline superstars. I got SGA,
Are they not
Tate,
considered superstars?
not no,
Okay.
no, no, they're not considered superstars. I got SGA, Tatum, Edwards, Booker, and Morant. The last tier I have are individuals that got superstar talent. There probably were once superstars, but are no longer at that level. Now they just have that superstar S talent. I have Lillard, Mitchell, Fox, Halliburton, and Brunson. That's my pyramid.
Okay, that's like six tiers and like 20 something names. So
That, that's not a lot of names.
I'm trying to get it like
Where do you want to start?
okay, so I didn't do as many tiers. I just do superstars and then guys
Okay.
at kind of on the fringe. And
Okay.
in my superstars, I think that would be considered your megastars and your superstars.
Okay.
Kept them in one. So I had a lot of the same guys. I have LeBron, Steph, KD, Jokic, Giannis, Luca, Embiid, Kawhi, Anthony Davis. I think we agreed on all those guys, right?
It is.
And then
Yes.
I have a few others that you had on the fringe.
Borderline.
Huh?
Is your borderline the same as fringe? Are you considering a fringe the same as borderline?
Yes, except I had these guys in my superstars. You had them in your borderline. I think I had them in. Guys like
Okay.
SGA, Tatum, and I had Zion. And then
So Edwards, Booker, Morant are not fringe superstars.
okay, well, this is the conversation that we always have is we look at this differently. I always look at it as you have, first of all, you have to be an all-star level player to be a superstar. You
Okay.
have to at least be at that level. But then another aspect of it to me is always about the name recognition. Are you one of the most popular guys, the most recognizable, the most seen, the most talked about, the most highlights, the most seen on social media? Those are the guys that I kind of view as superstars as well, because you have a guy like SGA, who I think last year was an MVP candidate, was one of the best guards in the league, but I don't think anybody would have considered him a superstar yet. Even though he was
No.
great, he wasn't really recognizable yet. He was on a team that was in the play-in. He was still relatively young, but this year he's pretty much the same player. He might have gotten a little bit better, virtually the same player though. But I think I would consider him a superstar now because everybody knows who he is. He's gotten even better, and now he's actually in the MVP conversation. So I
Let
have
me
a
ask you this. Let me ask you this. How I did this, what I mean, the reason why I put it in pyramids and the reason I put it like this is because I believe there's a significant drop off from one segment to the other. So when I say Steph and LeBron, I believe there is a significant drop off, and not just about how they play basketball, because clearly Jokic is the best player in the world. Talk about the complete package that they got, the marketing ability in their game, and how they represent the game. All of that combined
Like,
makes them the mega stars that they are. And then the reason why Kevin Durant is not in that group, because Kevin Durant is not that marketing ability. He's not that outspoken guy. He doesn't like to talk to the media. He doesn't like doing certain aspects of the job. But I also believe that Steph and LeBron, they are a rank a tier above KD. KD is amazing, but I believe when it comes to it, Steph and LeBron clears him as far as a better player. They both are top 10 players. Kevin Durant simply isn't there. And so I believe you get into that next tier when I put Jokic, Luka, Giannis, Kawhi, and BAD. I believe they're significantly better than that next tier. Like I would take every single one of those guys over SGA and Tatum. And so when I put fringe, that's me basically saying there is a drop off between one tier to another. So when I say borderline, that because I don't believe Luka, Joker, Giannis, and Kawhi and BAD, I believe they're by far better than SGA. And so that's why I can't group them.
see,
I
I just
can't group them.
I agree with your overall sentiment, but I think if I was doing your pyramid, I would have SGA on the same level as those guys. I
So
will
which one is SGA better than?
I wouldn't say he's better than I would say he is better than Kawhi right now, but I would say he's on the level of those guys. I think he's just as good as Tatum, if not
I
better.
don't think SGA. I don't think SGA is on a level of Joker. Joke. I keep saying Joker for whatever reason. I don't think he's on the level of Luka, Joker, or Giannis and Embiid. I don't. He's not on those guys' level.
Well, I would have Jokic, Luka, and Giannis as their own level, and then the next one I would have SGA alongside Tatum and Embiid and Kawhi,
So you think Embiid is on the same level as SGA?
in my opinion. Yeah,
See, I think Embiid is by far better than SGA.
yeah, I get that argument. He's already more established and he's got the MVP in his back pocket, but I think
AD, even though I give AD crap and fits, AD is by far better than SGA,
I
in
don't know.
my opinion. The only one that I could see your argument for is Kawhi, and that's because sporadic. He's injury prone. We don't see him as often as we need to in a regular season. He seemed like to be a playoff guy. Kawhi is a killer in the playoffs. I mean, last year I potentially could have won it all if he was healthy. And so when I look at these tiers, and the reason I broke it up like that is because I'm thinking of it from a standpoint of, well, these guys are significantly better, or not even just significantly, that these guys are just better than the next tier of people. And so I think the conversation gets interesting because I think we have the same at top, Steph and LeBron. You just have them in different categories. You say these, you put Kevin Durant in a category of a superstar, but I consider Steph and LeBron megastars. I
Yeah,
believe they're
I
bigger than the
think
game itself.
I think your way of doing tiers is a good way to do it in the pyramid. I just did a list of superstars and then a list of borderline guys. The last guy I actually did not mention that I do have as a superstar is Victor Wembanyama. I would already consider him a superstar, even though he's not an all-star yet. He's at that level. He's a top 20 player in the league, and as we've seen, he's already one of the most famous guys in the entire league. I
I
know
mean,
I,
I just named
I
you
know you weren't
20.
agree with that, but I would
I
already
just hold on. Hold on. One Steph, two LeBron, three Luka, four Joker, five Giannis, Embiid six, Kawhi seven, AD eight, SGA 9, Tatum 10, Edwards 11, Booker 12, Morant 13. Okay. Because he's better than Lillard. He's better than Mitchell. He's better than Fox. I believe he's better than Halliburton. I believe he's better than Brunson. So 14, 15 in that category, maybe. The
yeah,
only reason
and
I
I
didn't put him in a superstar talent is I could have, but I just because he's not a proven commodity. That's the big thing for him is he's not proving it. His first year, I didn't want to put him in that category, but he very well deserves to be in that superstar talent category. I would not consider him a superstar yet. When I think of
yeah,
superstars, I think about that group, Luka and Joker that I named. I don't consider him on that level. See, you don't look at it as you're not looking at it as levels. You're just listing off a list of superstars. I'm the reason why I'm doing it like this is because I'm I'm breaking apart different entities in their game, in their styles, and how they promote the sport. Because I believe this group is better than the next group. And that's why I broke it up like that. And that's why I have superstar, then I got borderline superstars, and then superstar talent. Because I believe they all contribute to the game different, but they're all not on that same level. And if that's the case, I'll say Steph, how your list is, you would think that you were saying Steph and LeBron or AD and Kawhi is on the same level as Steph and LeBron.
Well, just
They're
in terms
not.
of that they're superstars. I'm not saying they're the same level of player.
Okay.
I think
That
we
was the thing I was getting at.
and I rank these guys kind of in the same type of thought process that you had. I had LeBron, Curry, and Durant as my top three, even though they're not the three best players in the league anymore. I think
Yeah.
we're talking NBA superstars. Those are the first three names that come to mind. And then the next three I had were Jokic, Giannis, and Luka and Embiid, because I think after those guys, those are the next four names that you think of. Those are all MVP
See,
guys.
we have the same. We rank. You're right. We have the same people.
Yeah.
We're just breaking it up different. Like
Yeah.
I'm breaking it up in segments. You just putting it all together.
Yeah, and I will say if I did it like yours, I would have Wembanyama at the bottom, but I would have him as a superstar.
Okay, you'll have him in that superstar talent or superstar category there.
And I
And
think
so
I'll probably have a guy like Anthony Edwards as well because we saw him burst onto the scene this year. I think he's already one of the most talked about players in the league. Obviously, with his athleticism, his dunking ability, is one of the guys that pops on social media. I mean, we kind of saw a similar thing from John Morant 2 years ago, where he's kind of the most popular guy on social media because of the dunks, because of the athleticism, because of the flying ability. We kind of saw that same type of thing with Edwards, and I think he's an even better player than Ja. So I would have Edwards probably right there as well.
we have the same individuals, the same people.
Yeah.
It's just for me, I broke it up by it's not just status, but I broke it up as far as the category section of how these are. I can't wrap my mind around you putting SGA in the superstar category. If you took my list, if you use my same exact list, you're basically saying SGA is on par with Luka, Joker, and Giannis. I just don't see him in
I
that
had him.
category with those. With
I had him
those.
eighth, and I had him right behind those guys. So
I don't. I don't.
if I did a
I don't
peer
know how you.
scores, it depends on how many levels I had on that tier. I might put him on the same level. I might put him just below. I think he's just as good as Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid, though. I don't think he's as good as Jokic, Luka, and Giannis, but I do think he's just as good as Embiid and Tatum, though.
And see, I have Tatum on that same borderline superstar with him because you can make an argument that he's better than Tatum,
Yeah,
but I don't get the Embiid part. I don't see what you see with him being on the same par with Embiid. That'll have to be a conversation for another day because I don't know what you see there because I think Embiid is by far the better player.
I probably would have agreed with you a year ago. I think after this season that we saw from SGA, and granted, Embiid was obviously hurt for 2.5 months, but
Yeah,
I'm sorry, SGA has been arguably the best point guard in the league for 2 straight years. He finished fifth in MVP last year. I think he's going to finish third this year. He was All-Star starter this season on the number one team in the Western Conference. If he
he's
makes a
probably
play,
going to be first team All NBA.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he's in that conversation. If we're talking about who's the better player, I'd probably go with Embiid right now. But I think SGA is probably on that in the same conversation at least.
Which one of these last question before we go, and this is kind of an off-topic question. Which one of the young guys do you think is the future face of the NBA?
Oh,
We talking about the SGAs of
I
the
already
world,
said
Tatum of the world, Edwards of the world,
I think I already said him, Victor Wembanyama.
Victor?
I mean, I think SGA has a potential to win an MVP. I think Anthony Edwards has potential to win an MVP. I don't think Luka probably qualifies in this conversation anymore because even though he hasn't won an MVP yet, we've seen he's at that level for several years. But a guy that isn't really there yet is Victor Wembanyama. I mean, this is a guy that his potential is out of this world. I mean, if he reaches
See,
the level that he can, we've never seen a player like him. So I would put him at that.
I hate to go here, but it's just reality. It's just the facts when you're talking about this. He's not American. And
A lot of these
that
guys we
it,
talk about are
but that's why they're not going to be the face of the NBA.
really.
Because you can make an argument of Luca. You can make an argument of Joker, who's the best player by far, but we're not considering them the face of the NBA. We're saying it's still Steph LeBron league until proven otherwise. When you're looking at these guys and you're looking at Victor, when you're looking at a SGA and Tatum, I think Tatum is just in a bad situation where he's not good enough, but he's not bad either. He's just right there. And a title for him could do wonders, but I still don't think if he wins a title that he will be considered the face of the league. I believe that title, other until proven otherwise, still Stephen LeBron's to lose. I think with Victor it's because he's not American, and that's so harsh to believe, but that is the reality. That is the reason Embiid has the charismatic, he has the personality, he has the charisma, he has everything that the NBA wants. He could be a face of the NBA. There's a reason he's not the face of the NBA, even with winning the MVP and being in a Philadelphia market that loves that their sports town, that they love their team. Is a reason he's not the face of the NBA. They're looking at a Edwards, an SGA, and a Tatum. They're looking at someone that is American born, that can take a market that may be a small market and they can increase it in popularity and revenue and status, that they can put their name on the back of a jersey and it'll sell. And unfortunately, Victor, he's an amazing talent. He's an amazing player. He can very well, when it's all said and done, he can be one of the all-time greats. But I just don't see it from a standpoint of how I know the NBA operates, how I know that the NBA is. When they're looking at who's the face of their league, they're looking at it marking ability. And you could take, for instance, you could take Yao Ming, who was an amazing player. He just played in a league where it was a Kobe, it was a Shaq, it was a Duncan, it was those type of guys. But you look at the foreign-born players that played in the league now and that played in the league before, and you could make an argument that they were better than some of the players that played in that era. You could definitely make an argument that Joker has been the best player for the last 2 years, and not once have we came here or heard anything about him being the face of the NBA. It is a American lead. It's an American thing, and that shouldn't be the case, but it's the way it's always been.
I actually disagree. I see a lot of this discourse as well that the next face of the league has to be American born. And first, I will say SGA is
But do
Canadian.
you see where I'm talking about, though? You
Well,
see
first,
how you,
I do see what you're
huh?
saying. I disagree with it though.
Okay,
And and
okay.
and the reason I disagree with well, first off, I'll say SGA is Canadian, so you'd have to take him out of the conversation as well if we're talking about
All
foreign.
right, all right.
But I will say I actually
Oh
do
yeah, yeah. You picked Canada. Yeah, yeah. Got it.
yeah, from Toronto. I will say that I do actually disagree with that sentiment, though. I think the reason that we don't have another guy kind of taking that torch as the face of the league is because LeBron, KD, and Curry are still playing at a high level. We haven't seen guys play into their late 30s, early 40s, and still be top 10 players in the league. Usually the guys are either retired or they're not playing at the level, so we can kind of usher in the next era. I think if
Mhm.
those guys either were retired or weren't playing at the level that they are, Jokic, Giannis, Luka, and Embiid would be the faces of the league.
See, I don't think neither of them will ever be the face of the league.
So,
And
so if let's say LeBron retires after next season and Curry and KD retire within the next 3 years, who do you think takes over that torch?
Anthony
Because
Edwards,
you think he'd be ready for that?
I think it'll be Anthony Edwards. I'm not saying he will be ready for it, but I think the NBA will push the narrative of Anthony Edwards. I honestly believe that.
I see the argument for that. I'm not mad at that because I do think Edwards will be in the conversation. I think Tatum will as well. But I
Yeah.
actually think that the NBA is okay with pushing the foreign-born players, the international game, being where the
No, 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 no. No, it isn't that they are not okay with pushing it, because that is expansion of the game.
yeah, and
It's going
we've always
beyond it's
we've always seen that the
yeah, it's going
NBA
beyond
likes that.
yeah, it's going beyond in America where it reaches so many different fan bases, different audiences. I mean, Steph, LeBron, I mean, the most famous international player, in my opinion, that's ever played this game is Kobe Bryant. And he's more popular than Yao Ming in Yao Ming's own country. So I hark back to 2020, 2012 Olympics, where I saw them travel the world and then how they just galvanized towards Kobe. I'm like, man, this man is loved everywhere. So it's not that they're not pushing it. I believe very well that they're pushing, okay, our top five players are not born in America. Like our top five players are not from, the States or whatever the case may be. I believe when it comes down to the business of the NBA, marketing standpoint, Jokic is not marketable. I'm sorry. Nikola Jokic, the best player in the NBA, is not marketable. That's just reality. That's just the facts. He's not a marketable player. And neither do he wants to be. I don't think he wants to be marketable. So it ain't even about him not being marketable. It's just that I don't think he wants to. I think he's just fine with winning and going home, playing with his horses. He's said it multiple times. I just want to win and go play with my horses. So it's not even that he doesn't that the NBA is not trying. He's not marketable. Is that he doesn't want to be marketable. And then you're looking at Embiid, who was an amazing player. I said the personality, the charisma, the X factor. He has everything to be the face of the NBA. To be quite honest with you, if I had my pick of the litter, it would be him. I don't think the NBA will pull that plug on making him the face of the league. When it comes down to it, I believe the NBA prefers a individual that was born in America, that is highly marketable and can profit off of from a lower state or city, whatever case may be, standpoint that they can build up. I believe that's what they're looking for. I believe Luka has all the tools to be the face of the league. I don't think he will be the face of the NBA. Wemby has all the tools to be the face of the league, that be a top player to ever play this game if that trajectory is still there. I don't think they will ever make him the face of the NBA. And it's not lack of the exposure that these individuals have, because some of them are just in a small market. And that's okay. But I think the NBA is looking for, okay, an American born player that's in a small market that we can build into something else. The way I see Anthony Edwards being that guy, I believe Anthony Edwards leaves the Wolves. I believe he goes to a higher market team. He becomes the best player on that team, and the NBA will start to galvanize individuals around that team and around him, start to promote him and market him as the next guy. I don't even think Tatum could do it. If Tatum wins, I don't even think Tatum could reach that point, because you're still competing with Steph and LeBron. We're talking about over a 5-year period right now. Steph and LeBron is still in the league. It's not going to be a new face until they say so. And so now you transition into that other generation. I think Tatum time, and that's why I say he's stuck into a hard work in a small place. I believe Tatum has the talent right now. He just have Steph and LeBron that's stopping him. And about time they leave, the other players have caught up to him, and he's going to be surpassed by them. And so, in an ideal world, Tatum will be he has the perfect look, the perfect image. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's that guy. He plays with the Celtics, most championships in NBA history. The story is right for him. He's just playing in an era that's owned by Steph and LeBron. So when they retire, his time will be up.
Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. I think we have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the discourse about the next face of the franchise having to be an American player comes a lot more from the media and from the fans than it does from the league. I think the league,
I think they push that narrative. I
yeah,
do.
and
Yeah.
I think the league would, and that's because the media is kind of there to be divisive, and they want to create debates and conversation, and I get all that. And then the fans are kind of coming from a different perspective, where you see a lot of fans, they are kind of slow to gravitate towards the international players. I don't know what the case may be, because I think a
Mm.
lot of the international players are more fun to watch and are better. I mean, as we just talked about, the four best players in the league that aren't legacy guys, not including
Or
Curry,
international players.
they're all
Yeah.
international, probably top
Yeah.
four, top five. And then we're
Yeah.
talking about Wembanyama, who is the most talked about prospect in the last 20 years, is from France. And
I mean, the top five best NBA players may be foreign born right now.
exactly, yeah.
You can make a legit argument that the top five players in the NBA right now are foreign born.
Yeah, and I think the league is okay with that. I do think that they probably want an American to be in the conversation as well. They want Tatum or Edwards to also be right at that level. so then they can at least say, we still have great basketball being played here in AAU at the youth level. Still, you can still grow up and be an American and still become that level of player. But I don't necessarily think they need that. They don't need the franchise face of the league to
Yeah.
an American-born player. I
Be-
think the league, from what I've seen during his rookie season, I think the league wants Victor Wembanyama to end up being the face of the franchise. I mean, he has the most watched highlight in NBA history. We saw some of
yeah.
his games have more discussion around it than pretty much any other game, and he was playing on one of the worst teams in the league. So I think if Wembanyama ends up being the player that we think that he could be, I could see him being the face of the league for sure.
Yeah, before we go, I do think that kind of how we saw when MJ left. It took a couple of years for Kobe, Duncan to take over that mantle to be the face of the league. They shared it. LeBron took over that mantle in 2012. Depends on who you ask. In 2012, and he carried that mantle by himself all the way to 2016. And then he had a tag team partner with Steph. And since 2016, it's been Steph and LeBron sleep for at least for the last decade or so. Probably less than that. 2016 wasn't that long ago. Well, it's been a couple of years. It's been a long time. And so I do think we're in that area once they leave. I do think it's going to be a period of time when there's not going to be no one's league. I do think we will have a drop off when there's not going to be nobody's to face in the NBA for a period of time until someone takes it. And so I think that's going to be the interesting thing because we've seen it the last two generations have that drop off from one megastar to another. And it took a while for Kobe to pick up that mantle and Duncan to pick up that mantle. And then it took a period of time. We know LeBron was coming to leave was going to be that guy. But LeBron wasn't, I mean, despite what people say, LeBron was not the face of the NBA year one. I'm sorry, he wasn't. And so it was a period of time before he took that over. And then he had a partner with Steph. I think we're on that same trajectory where once they both leave, there will be a period of time when there's no one to face of the league until someone pick up that mantle and they take it as the face of the league.
Yeah, you might be right. I will say that I think the league is in better hands than they were when Michael retired now, for sure. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think there's a lot more talent. So when those guys do retire, I think this next era is going to usher in a little bit easier than the post Michael Jordan era.
Absolutely. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as I do every time we talk about it because it's always interesting to see where we're coming from and a different perspective. You see that I broke it down in tiers. He just had a clear list of superstars, and although most of the time we have the same players, we do have some disagreements when it comes to who we consider a superstar and who's that borderline superstar. If you guys like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spoken Truth. You can also follow us on a brand new TikTok account at Spoken Truth Pod. You can find all of our content